far beneath the sea, where sunlight slowly disappears into darkness, there existed a kingdom forgotten by the human world. A kingdom of ancient palaces, glowing waters, and daughters of the ocean. Among them, there was one unlike the others, the youngest, quiet, curious, and endlessly fascinated by the world above the waves. Every night she would rise closer to the surface, watching ships pass beneath the stars. She listened to the laughter of humans, watched the lanterns glowing across the sea, and deep within her heart, a longing began to grow, not simply for the human world, but for something more, a soul, for mermaids. Life was beautiful, long, peaceful, but when they died, they became sea foam, lost forever to the waves. Humans were different, their lives were short, but their souls lived eternally, and the little mermaid could not stop thinking about it. Then finally, the day arrived. The day she was allowed to visit the surface herself. She rose through the dark water until moonlight touched her face for the very first time. And there, she saw him, a prince, standing aboard a magnificent ship beneath the stars. The little mermaid watched him silently, the warmth in his smile, the kindness in his eyes, and without understanding why, her heart chose him instantly. But the sea is never calm forever. Clouds swallowed the sky, thunder shook the ocean, and a violent storm tore through the night. The ship was destroyed. Massive waves dragged men into darkness, and the prince disappeared beneath the sea. Without hesitation, the little mermaid dove after him, through freezing water, through chaos, through death itself, and finally, she found him. Unconscious, fading, she carried him through the storm, holding him above the waves until they reached shore. As dawn rose over the ocean, she laid him gently upon the sand, and before he opened his eyes, she disappeared. But from that moment on, she could think of nothing except him. She wanted to walk beside him, to speak to him, to remain near him, not as a creature hidden beneath the sea, but as human. And so, she traveled to the darkest part of the ocean, to the Sea Witch, deep beneath the black waters, inside a cavern filled with twisted shadows. The witch waited, watching, smiling. "You wish to become human," the witch whispered. The little mermaid nodded. The witch laughed softly, then raised a glowing bottle. "This potion will give you human legs, but every step you take will feel like walking on knives." The little mermaid trembled silently, but the witch had not finished. "You must also give me your voice." The mermaid's eyes widened in fear. Her voice was the most beautiful in all the ocean. But still, she agreed. The witch stole her voice, and the sea itself seemed to grow silent. Then the little mermaid drank the potion. Pain tore through her body like fire. The ocean vanished beneath her, and darkness consumed everything. When she awoke, she was lying upon the shore, human, silent, alone, and when she tried to stand, pain shot through her feet like blades. But then, she saw him, the prince. He found the silent girl beside the sea, and immediately felt drawn to her gentle presence, though he did not know why. He brought her to the palace, and from that day forward, she remained beside him. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, the prince began searching for her first every morning. He laughed more when she was near. The palace felt warmer beside her, and even in silence, she understood him better than anyone else ever had. But the little mermaid hid her pain. Every dance beside him, every step through the palace, left her feet bleeding beneath her dress. And still, she smiled, because simply being near him was enough. One night, during a celebration aboard a royal ship, the little mermaid danced with the prince beneath the stars. But this time, her body could endure no more. She collapsed. The prince caught her before she struck the floor. and as he held her, he saw blood beneath her bare feet. His expression changed instantly. Shock, confusion, horror. "How long have you been suffering like this?" he whispered. The little mermaid looked away silently, trying once again to hide her pain, but suddenly, the prince remembered. The storm, the ocean, the feeling of being carried through darkness. The same eyes now staring back at him, and quietly, almost afraid of the answer, he asked, "It was you, wasn't it?" Tears filled her eyes, and in that silence, he finally understood. The person who had saved his life had been beside him all along, silent, suffering, loving him without asking for anything in return. And in that moment, the prince realized something else. He had already fallen in love with her long ago, before knowing the truth, before understanding her sacrifice, before realizing why life felt empty whenever she was gone. The prince gently held her trembling hands, and for the first time, he saw her completely. Not as a mystery, not as a stranger, but as the person his heart had already chosen. And as he pulled her into his arms, the sea witch's curse finally began to break. Golden light surrounded the little mermaid. The pain vanished from her feet. The wounds slowly disappeared. And after so long, her voice finally returned, soft, fragile, beautiful. The prince stared at her in amazement as she whispered his name for the very first time, and beneath the stars, with the ocean finally at peace, he kissed her. Not from gratitude, not from pity, but love. And for the first time in her life, the little mermaid no longer felt torn between two worlds. Because now she was finally seen, finally heard, and finally loved. And so, the sea carried their story into legend forever.